Welcome back to Grief Inspired. My name is Catherine McNulty, and today we are talking about how to grieve in 2024. And what does that mean? Most people are grieving in a way that is not serving them. So today we are going to talk about how to grieve, how to get yourself the support that you need, and move into 2024 in a way that lets you feel confident and sure that you can get through this. Stay tuned. Welcome back. How to grieve in 2024. What does that even mean? Well, I think that there are three things that I want to leave you with when we talk about how do you grieve in 2024. Now, most of us, if you're like me, grief happens to you. You lose someone that you love and you find yourself deep in grief and you don't know how to handle it. And it's maybe bigger than you're used to because maybe it was somebody closer to you. Maybe it was a spouse or a child or a dear, dear friend, somebody that you really had a very strong connection with. And if you have that strong of a connection, then you are absolutely going to have a very strong grief response. And I think some of us are surprised by this, but I don't want you to be surprised by this because the amount of love that you have for someone that you care about is equivalent to the amount of grief that you experience when you lose them. So if you are currently grieving somebody, it means that this person was so dear to you, that you love so deeply, that that pain is what you're experiencing because of that love. So the two go hand in hand, the amount that you love and the amount that you grieve. So that's one thing. And grief can be bigger than what we're expecting because most people don't talk about it. Most people think that grief is just something that happens to you, that it's an experience that you kind of just sit back and you wait and you say time heals all wounds. And you wait until you feel normal again, until you feel better again. And that is not how to grieve in 2024. We are far too smart for this. There is too much education and knowledge out there. There are opportunities for us to connect online and get together and have grief courses to help us. And so that's what I want to talk about today. I want you to know that there are three things. First, I want you to decide to choose you. And what do I mean by that? Well, you have to realize that you are worth it, that you don't inherently deserve to be miserable. You don't deserve to be unhappy. You deserve to get through your grief and to be happy again and to understand it and to become one with it, right? So you don't get over your grief. It's not something that magically goes away. But what it is, it's something that you grow into. It's something you learn about, and it's something that you learn how to carry it with you in a way that makes you feel strong and confident so that you don't feel so out of control. Early in my grief process, I felt very out of control. I felt like what was happening to me, I didn't understand my emotions. I didn't understand anything about grief. What was normal, what was not normal. I literally thought I was going crazy. And so I don't want you to feel that way. So the most important thing is to choose you and realize that you're worth it. What else? There is work that you have to do. So grief doesn't magically heal itself. The healing from grief requires work. It requires you, what I consider to be leaning into your grief. Looking at it, not avoiding it, even though that's what we want to do inherently. Most of us just want to avoid and hope it'll go away. It will not go away. Sorry. So what do? Well, you do the work. You educate yourself on what grief is. You educate yourself on the experience. You get with other people who also are going through the grief process and you share. And those are the things that help you work through your grief. So, but it is your responsibility. And I think that that's what's most important here. When I talk about choosing you, it means that no one's coming to save you, that there isn't anyone magically in your family who's going to make it all better. Even myself as a grief coach, I cannot make your grief all better. What can I do is I can help you with the education. I can help support you along the way. I can encourage and inspire you and tell you that yes, this is terrible, but it is survivable and that you can get through it. So grief is something that you can survive. And that's the third thing, is that early on in our grief, we can feel so overwhelmed. It can feel bigger than us. It can feel like there is no way I can do this. This is too big. And I want you to know that yes, ask for support, get help, jump into a grief course that I offer. Go to Grief Share if you think that helps. Go to a therapist if that helps. Find someone else who has gone through a similar type of loss. Jump into my Facebook group and share there about the grief process and what you're going through. And you'll find that other people are experiencing similar things. But the takeaway here is you can do this. You can get through your grief. It's not going to be instantaneous. It's going to take work. It's going to take time, but you can get through it. You can process it and you can feel better about it. Like I said, you can carry it with you into your future. You can find ways to make the grief experience that you're having even more meaningful. So many people change so much because of their grief. You become a different person if you really lean into your grief. And that is a good thing because you're growing and you're becoming more. You're becoming more of who you're designed to be. And so what you can find is ways to give back to the rest of the world. The one thing that I've learned more than anything on my grief journey is that one, you can't isolate yourself. You can't do it alone. But the reason why we're here on this planet, doing what we do day in and day out, is ultimately to connect with other people. Think about the experiences that you've had with your loved one, with your friends, that mean the most to you. Think about the experiences with your children, with your spouse. It's the moments, it's those sharing. Those are the things that you want to hang on to. Those are the things that you think are so important and are the most important thing in your life. So lean into those, create more of those with the people that you still have around, and then know that you can create even more in a new and different way with the new future that you are finding as you work through the grief process. Now, it's different for everybody in terms of the timeline for that, how much you decide to lean in. Some people, it takes a little bit longer. It took me a good 2.5 years before I really decided to lean in and do the work. So the sooner you do the work, the sooner you'll get back to feeling better. That I did learn on my journey. But it is a process. Grief is a process, and I want to help you through that process. So I want you to reach out to me at GriefInspired@gmail.com. Jump in to ask me about one of my courses. I have courses coming up all of the time. We're doing 10-week courses right now, so you can jump in, you can learn about your own grief, it can connect you with other people, you can get support and encouragement and be inspired on a daily basis to be able to survive your grief. So how do you grieve in 2024? Well, you choose you. You know that you can do this. And then one last thing that I want to leave you with is to pay attention to the amount of progress that you're making. And this is something that will really encourage you along the way. So if you are someone who journals, journal on a regular basis, or even just journal periodically, right? Journal on your anniversary dates, the 1-month anniversary, the 3 months, the 6 months. And as you journal, you will notice yourself moving forward in the grief process. And sometimes we get so overwhelmed that we don't see that. And so I want you to be able to see your own progress, because that's what's so important, is that it is a process and you're making progress and it takes a minute. So keep going, choose you, keep track of your progress, and know that you can do this and you can survive your grief.